There are bookstores. And then there are places like this. Places where you walk through the door and almost immediately realize that whatever schedule you had laid out for the rest of the day may no longer matter. This is John K. King Used and Rare Books in downtown Detroit. From the outside, it doesn't necessarily look like one of the great bookstores of the world. It looks like what it actually was, an old Detroit factory. 4 stories of brick, industrial windows, concrete floors, and remnants of a working building from another era. But behind these walls today are more than a million books, not carefully arranged in some sleek retail environment, not reduced to an algorithm telling you what you should read next. They're stacked, shelf after shelf, floor after floor, subject after subject, waiting for you to stumble across something you didn't even know you were looking for. And that's what makes this place special. John K. King isn't really a bookstore you simply shop. It's a bookstore you explore. The story of John K. King Books begins in 1965, when John King entered the book business in Detroit. There were smaller locations along the way, including a store in the Michigan Theater building on Bagley. But eventually, the collection simply became too large for the space around it. That's probably not difficult to imagine once you start walking these aisles. In 1983, King purchased this former factory at 901 West Lafayette Boulevard, and the bookstore opened here on January 1st, 1984. What had once been a place of manufacturing suddenly became a place devoted to something very different. Books. Millions of pages of history, fiction, science, philosophy, art, architecture, religion, transportation, music, Detroit history, and almost any other subject that you can imagine began filling a building designed for industry. And that's one of the reasons that I love this place. The building was never sanitized into something it wasn't. You can still feel the factory. You can still see the structure. And in some places, you can still find the reminders of the businesses that occupied it long before books took over. This building dates back to 1905. It was originally constructed for the St. Clair Manufacturing Company, part of the Edson, Moore, and Company dry goods operation. This was a clothing factory. Hundreds of people once worked here, helped producing garments in a building that was considered remarkably modern for its time. Later, the factory became home to Crown Hat Manufacturing and the National Color Company. So yes, before this building held a million books, it actually made hats. Eventually it became the Advanced Glove Manufacturing Company, producing industrial gloves and other protective clothing. That history is still hiding in plain sight. The giant red glove painted on the outside of the building, that's not some quirky bookstore logo. It's a survivor from the Advanced Glove days. Even inside, remnants of the factory remain, including old signage and pieces of the original industrial environment that have simply been absorbed into the bookstore around them. And then there's the building itself. Because even without the books, this place has an incredible Detroit story. When construction began on John C. Lodge Expressway in the late 1940s, this factory stood directly in the freeway's path. In most Detroit freeway stories, you probably know what comes next. Demolition. Entire neighborhoods and thousands of buildings were lost as expressways carved through the city. But this building survived in one of the strangest ways imaginable. In 1948, the entire factory was jacked up and moved approximately 250 feet west. The building was literally rolled from the corner of Lafayette and 4th Street to Lafayette and 5th. And according to accounts from someone who worked on the move, the factory traveled on log-like rollers made from Alabama gumwood. Even more remarkable, the factory reportedly continued operating while the building was being moved. Think about that as we're walking up these stairs. This entire building moved. Not recreated, not dismantled and rebuilt. Moved. And now we're wandering through it looking for books. The higher you go, the more John King starts to reveal what makes it different from almost every modern bookstore. There isn't a computer kiosk sitting at the end of every aisle. The main store isn't organized around an online inventory system. Instead, the books are arranged by subject, with directories helping point you toward the right section. And then you're expected to do something that has become surprisingly uncommon. Look. Actually look. Pull something off the shelf because the title sounded interesting. Notice a book next to it. Then notice another one 3 shelves down. And 20 minutes later, realize you've completely forgotten what you originally came here to find. The store itself describes this as the thrill of the hunt. John King has said that a real book dealer develops almost a sixth sense for finding something special, and the bookstore is designed around letting customers have that experience for themselves. That's why the slightly overwhelming nature of this place is actually part of its charm. It's supposed to be overwhelming. Discovery requires a little chaos. And every one of these books had a life before it arrived here. Somebody bought it. Somebody read it. Maybe someone underlined a passage. Maybe there's a name written inside the cover. Maybe a photograph or receipt is still tucked between the pages. Used bookstores are unusual because the object you're buying carries two stories. The story printed inside the book, and the story of the physical book itself. Where was it kept? Who owned it? Why did they choose it? Why did they eventually let it go? And somehow it ended up here, in this giant brick factory in Detroit, waiting for someone else to find it. There's something wonderfully inefficient about that, and I mean that as a compliment. John K. King had survived through an extraordinary amount of change. The rise and fall of giant bookstore chains, the arrival of Amazon, ebooks, online marketplaces, Detroit's bankruptcy, decades when people repeatedly predicted the death of printed books, and yet the shelves are still here. The store itself makes a point of saying that it has resisted completely digitizing the experience, because finding a book based on an algorithm is fundamentally different from discovering one because a strange spine caught your eye while you were walking past. That idea becomes increasingly powerful the further into the store you go. This place requires your presence. You have to climb the stairs. You have to walk the aisles. You have to touch the books. And sometimes you have to accept the thing that you came looking for isn't nearly as interesting as the thing you accidentally found instead. By the time you reach the fourth floor, the scale becomes almost absurd. More shelves, more rooms, more categories, more books. The downtown store occupies 4 above-ground floors and holds something in the neighborhood of 1,000,000 books, making it Michigan's largest used and rare bookstore and one of the largest collections of its kind in the country. And there's something appropriate about this happening inside an old factory. Detroit built things: cars, stoves, railroad equipment, clothing, gloves, machinery. Entire industries came out of buildings like this. Today, this particular factory produces something less tangible: curiosity. You walk in knowing almost nothing about some subject, and you can walk out carrying 5 books about it. That's still a form of production. It's just happening in your head instead of on an assembly line. And every once in a while, between the shelves, you catch a glimpse of Detroit outside. Because John K. King could really only exist like this in a city with buildings like this. A former industrial factory big enough to hold a seemingly impossible collection. A place carrying layers of Detroit history in the building itself. The land beneath us reaches back even further, to Detroit's early ribbon farm era. Before the factory, portions of this block were associated with a large 19th century residence. Before the expressway, before the warehouses, before the skyline looked the way it does today. The city changed around this piece of land again and again, and somehow every era left something behind. And then, of course, there are the rare books. John King has collected extraordinary material over the decades, with rarer and more notable items housed separately from the main browsing floors. The business grew so much that even this enormous factory eventually wasn't enough. Another former industrial building immediately south of the main store became part of the operation, housing additional rare collections available under more controlled circumstances, which is perhaps the most John King thing imaginable. You buy a 4-story factory because your bookstore is getting too big, and eventually even the 4-story factory isn't big enough. But despite the numbers, the rankings, and the sheer scale of the collection, I don't think that's ultimately why this place matters. John K. King matters because it preserves a particular kind of experience. The feeling of wandering without knowing exactly where you're going. The possibility that something forgotten will suddenly become interesting again. The understanding that old things don't necessarily become useless simply because something newer replaced them. That's true of books. And strangely enough, it's true of this building too. The factory could have been demolished for the freeway. It wasn't. The building could have been abandoned after Advance Glove closed. It wasn't. Physical bookstores were supposedly going to disappear. This one didn't. Again and again, this place has survived things that should have made it obsolete. Maybe that's why John K. King feels so perfectly Detroit. Not polished, not predictable, not particularly interested in becoming what everyone else thinks it should be, just stubbornly continuing to exist. A century-old factory that was once physically moved out of the path of a freeway, now filled from floor to floor with more books than most of us could read in several lifetimes. And every one of them is waiting for someone to pull it from the shelf. So if you come here, give yourself time. Don't arrive with a 15-minute window. Don't expect to see everything. You won't. Pick a floor, pick a subject, turn down an aisle, and start looking. Because somewhere inside John K. King used in rare books, there is probably a book you didn't know you needed. And finding it yourself is really the whole point. I'm Chris with History Loves Company, and this is one more Detroit story worth keeping.